Hey guys, Missy here from Edgebody, and in today's movement tip series video, we are going to be talking about the differences between the deadlift and the squat. Okay? For more info on those individual movements, because there's tons to talk about, I want you to go to our blog and check out our other movement tip videos, because we break down the RDL and deadlift, and then we also break down the back squat and other variations. Today though, I'm going to be going through a couple quick reference points so that you can feel the difference between that deadlift hip hinge and then what it feels like to squat, so that you are always doing the appropriate movement with a ton of different movements that we do for repetition in class. Okay, so tip number one, we're going to talk about where you should feel the hip hinge in your body and some quick reference points for how to do the hip hinge. Tip number two, we're going to be talking about the parts of your body that you should feel a squat motion in and what that should look like. And then for tip number three, I'm going to actually quickly show you exercises that you should be using the hip hinge and then exercises that you should be using the back squat so that you are ready to go next time you're in class. All right guys, so most of the time, okay, you know the difference between a deadlift and a squat when we're doing just that, when we're deadlifting for a strength day or we're doing a back squat. But what happens when we're doing things like ball slams and kettlebell swings and goblet squats and stuff like that? Because when we start doing things for repetition and conditioning, things tend to get a little muddled for people. And as coaches, we start to see the same kind of half movement. It's kind of a hip hinge and then it turns into a squat. So for tip number one, this is exactly where you should feel a hinge and what it should look like, okay? So I'm gonna use a kettlebell today for this first part, just to make it a little bit easier for you to see. But on deadlift or hip hinge exercises, your feet should be hip width apart, okay? So not wide, and you're bracing your spine so that it stays nice and flat, and you're gonna bend down, okay, kind of hinging at the waist to pick something up. So you're pushing that floor away and you're keeping that weight close, okay? More bending over at the waist, okay, than you are bending those knees. So we keep a soft bend in our knees, and you should really feel those hamstrings pulling, like your hamstrings are doing the majority of the work, or those glutes versus anything else in your body. All right, for tip number two, talking about the squat and where you should feel it, okay? So first off, okay, our feet are a lot wider than they are with the hip hinge. So for a squat, our feet are gonna be at least wider than hip width, but about shoulder width apart for some people. Slightly point those toes out, and then the movement, you're gonna drive those knees out, sit that butt back, okay, keeping that chest up, and then standing up. So driving those knees, so there's a much bigger bend in your knee, pushing up, so that you're going to be feeling it mostly in those quads. Yes, a squat is gonna work all of those legs, but your quads are really doing the bulk of the work, and so people tend to feel them right in the front when they're doing a good squat motion repetitively. All right guys, tip number three, I wanted to do a compilation of exercises in a row so that you could see exercises back to back, so that it will help you identify which exercises have the squat movement as the base and which exercises have the hip hinge as the base, okay? As coaches, we always break down each movement, but sometimes it's hard to feel what your body's doing, or sometimes it's hard to know if you're doing it correctly, so we're gonna put these back to back, so hopefully you can see the difference, okay? First exercises I'm gonna do have the squat base, okay? So starting off, I'm gonna do the kettlebell goblet squat. So again, I'm in squat position, bending those knees, okay? So that leg fully bends, so that my quads are doing the majority of the work, okay? Next common exercise that we do is the thruster. So again, I'm gonna get myself in position, feet out wide, bend those knees, pop those hips up overhead, but the squat is still the base of the movement, okay? Then, same thing, I'm gonna do a strict wall ball, but wall balls would be the same thing. Full squat, full throw overhead. Full squat, full throw overhead, okay? There's plenty other squat movements we do, but those are some examples that you can see. They're different movements, but the squat's the start, okay? So next, compilation of hip hinge exercises, okay? First one I'm gonna do is the kettlebell swing, okay? Kettlebell swing oftentimes gets a little squatty, but it should be a hip hinge. So feet a little bit closer together, keeping our back nice and straight, chest up, and I'm just gonna hinge a little bit, and I'm gonna drive those hips up. So back is flat, and it's a quick hip hinge before I explode all the way up, okay? Another one of my favorite exercises where we tend to get a little squatty with it is the ball slam, okay? So we're gonna get set up, feet a little bit more narrow, okay? In a good deadlift position, head forward, drive up, slam it down. Deadlift, drive up, slam it down, okay? So legs are gonna be bending, okay, as much as they are in a ball slam. All right, guys, and last but not least, anytime we are doing a barbell movement, okay, from the floor, it's going to be more of a hip hinge, okay? So just using this again as an example, you doing a deadlift, feet are closer together. We're gonna grip that bar here, back nice and flat, and we're gonna bend at the waist. Legs still have just a soft bend, feeling it more in those hamstrings. All right, guys, so I hope this video was helpful today because, again, like I said, coaches, we sometimes see a mixture of the two movements, but it should either be a definite hip hinge or a definite squat, okay? So the next time you're in class, if you're still having issues with it, flag one of us down and we will help you. But now if we're moving around in class and we tell you one of those phrases, hopefully it clicks just a little bit more if you're having trouble, okay? Check out our other movement tip videos for help on other movements that we do. But if you've never been in class before, fill out a free trial form and we will contact you and get you set up for your free trial with me or one of my other coaches. Otherwise, if you're a member, I hope to see you in class soon and doing much more of these movements. Have a great day.